Sup?
Uh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Are you ready to rumble?
Yeah. Oh. Oh. Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to another Altered Weekly Online League Season 2 Wednesday Weekly. It's number 11 time. I am Blue, joined by the guy that is known as Cole Robbie. How are you doing this fine evening slash morning for European folks?
Lucky number 11.
Yeah.
And it is a very, very tired day. Was helping someone move until way too late last night. And am I signed up for this tournament? Oh, I should unregister.
One less player on
Whoops.
the list.
Whoops. Yeah, unfortunately, one less player. I was seeing if Keelan Guy signed up. He was saying he has only slept 6 hours in the last 48. So it looks like made the good decision to go to sleep instead. So 24 with 3 minutes left. Can we get a jump in the last couple minutes?
Yeah, either way, we'll watch some games for everyone that is joining us thus far and that will be joining us here in the future or maybe on YouTube. Say hi to the people on YouTube, I guess. But either way, like I mentioned, this is weekly number 11 for the Wednesday setup and we've already passed number 11 for Monday. Um Not a whole lot to comment on other than we've been getting some folks some doing some different things the last few weeks, it seems like. I think the last week we got, what you were on Wednesday last week, right, with, Keelan? How
Yeah.
was how did that go for you?
It's been interesting to see the variety come out a lot more now that we're further into the season. Last Wednesday saw the first ever 6-0 Sierra out of KRA Kaifu. Some very cool Rapotter otters and some cycling, and then just a really good mix of heroes all around. And on Monday, it looks like most of the Europeans can't let go of Faunus just yet, but we still in the top 16 saw a really good mix of heroes and not as much Siggy, so loving that.
Yeah, it's quite interesting how, we get some people trying new things at least when we get further and further into a season. I know Neuro's been pretty popular with that Basira deck that's been making the rounds. A Clute is always a fun card to play, and if you can play it well, it can mess up some strategies here or there. We are only 1 minute out from the start of this Wednesday weekly. We'll see how things turn out. Be sure to join if you haven't already. You can listen to us and play the game at the same time. It is possible, promise. But past that, like you mentioned, we'll take a look at some folks. I'm not sure is yeah, Kaifu did sign up for this one as well, so we may get to see the Sierra pop up again, or maybe they're going to bring in something else. Who knows? I don't. A lot of other familiar names, including some of those Sigismar and Afanis players, but they may switch it up as well. We may see some other things, but we'll just have to figure it out at random as we do have our first round being set up here.
All right, let me refresh. Looks like we ended at 26 players. Runefolk is not playing Waru, is on Fen for the challenge. If you don't know, the three of the dudes in AQZ are trying to get a 39cards.com listing for each hero, and it's a very contentious race currently.
I see. Well, good luck to all the AQZ folks out there. I know if we can expect anyone to throw something out there and make us all regret watching it, it's probably someone from AQZ. So we'll see what we have here for the first few tables. Just to not watch Freeloader or Runefolk, we'll pick someone else entirely. let's start off with the player that won it last week, table 11, Kaifu versus Nalastra. Why not?
That is what I was thinking as well. Let's see. Looks like both players are connected. It's great to see. Sometimes when you get a little later into the evening here, some of the Europeans or over the across the sea fall asleep and don't make it out. So,
Yeah.
oh, very interesting game we have here.
Yeah, we got a Nitsati versus a Navenka. Both fun heroes. Probably some of my favorite heroes in their respective factions, at least to play for fun. Not a big Finn or an Aurak player in Lyra, so kind of falls to Navenka. And honestly, it's Navenka and Blotch is as far as like a combo. I'm a big fan of Blotch. I like the Rainbow Dragon. And then of course it's Sadi. Sadi's always been my favorite one-armed hero, so I'm glad we were able to see someone get to continue play it. And now we have Kaifu on it, so no Sierra this time around, but can't complain with some Sadi.
Yeah, so looking at the history for Nalastra, looks like it's a even split between Navenka and Akesha.
Yep.
Um, Couple different placements here between 10th and 16th place, and then a couple top six or so on Akesha from last year, playing in a lot of the AWOL events. And today we're seeing Navenka with ooh, a one off the bat, but the Martingale is out.
Yeah, easy Martingale save. Um, we'll get a double advance out of it. Only a single advance for the Sadi. But yeah, Nalastra, I remember from the early days of AWOL doing the no unique Akesha that ended up getting like a top 8, I think. So still a skilled player, doing a lot of random things on occasion, including an Akesha and now a Navenka. And a good start, to be honest, with a martingale and a mage dancer that both help them get a double advance while keeping the Sadi on just a single advance. Although they do have some pretty good cards in the reserve there with the Saringer and the Tiny Jin that'll help them ramp up a little bit. But still a lot of stuff that we can see out of the Navinka and maybe just take the game before Sadi can ramp up too far.
Yeah, both players basically have the perfect things in their reserve right now, and it looks like for the most part they're not going to reveal what's in hand. The Navenka having 2 mana might, but doesn't necessarily have to unless it's going to result in seeing the Navenka ability most likely means they're not going to reveal something from hand. I'm very interested in what Kaifu has here. If it's anything like any of her other decks, there will hopefully be some very interesting uniques that all work together.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see the direction Kaifu goes with this Sadi list. I've actually seen some variations that aren't as reliant on bigger cost cards. And with that little quick play there of the 330 stats from the Hathor, we'll see another double advance for Nalasha there, which is gonna be hard for Kaifu to keep up in general, but we'll see how it works out. A lot
Yeah,
less
that
card.
was a little tricky play there. I was thinking there was nothing left to play if the Navenka was being used, but Hathor for 2 mana. A little late because it can't pick up either of those 2 cards that were just used, but double advance is a double advance.
Yeah, we'll see some more mana channeling though out of Vitsati. So at this point, it's going to be a little bit of can Nalastra on the Navenka keep up with less and less resources and having to deal with that ramped up Itzadi and see how things go. Having that Inkcaster will help return the Hathor to hand, although not often that you want the Hathor back in hand, but you know what? 2 cost 330 isn't half bad either, especially when you are in that terrain, at least on the hero side at the moment. But we'll see just another Serengur out for the Itzadi. So continuing to try to get some more cards available to them, and it seems like at least what Kaifu has going on with this Itzadi right now is what I've seen from some Saudi players in general, where there's not that much of a focus on the higher cost cards, and you just play a little bit of a value Bravos proposition and try to get maybe one or two card draws out of it, Saudi, and hope you can outpace the other opponent, which is not quite looking too hot at the moment with Nidavinka up 2 spots, but we'll see how it turns out.
Yeah, I'm trying to think w- if Fire Rabbit might do good here. Uh if it gets moved or the Chiron's basically, a beefier rabbit. Common, so you can only boost up one thing. It does allow Kaifu to get an advance here on the companion side. Uh, yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm trying not to say anything about Asadi, because last cast I was just talking about how boring his hero ability is. Because to me, if you're doing this in a Saudi, you might as well just be playing Kojo or Basira, but people like an underdog, like to get results on a hero that a lot of people don't count on getting.
It's true. I guess it kind of depends. You can. I'd have to agree with you as far as basically just play Kojo if you want to play a specific type of Itzadi that doesn't really rely on bigger characters. But sometimes you run into a good unique potentially that influences the way you want to deck build. And I know I've fallen victim to the idea of, oh, I got a good unique. Well, now I have to make a deck for this type of hero in general. But it also could just be a thing of it's been a while since we've seen an Itzadi placement. Shout out to Westwill. And Kaifu's trying to take advantage of that. Took Sierra to an undefeated setup last week. Why not make it even more difficult and pick Itzadi? Pretty soon we'll see maybe an undefeated Orak. I don't know. But either way, after we're talking about all that, we do see Sakurabu come out and we'll get a draw for the Itzadi. We'll see how the Navinka can make things work as they still have a Inkcaster out, and they probably don't even need to play anything else unless they wanna try to get over the top of that Sakurabu.
Yeah. Uh, like I said, Fire Rabbit here would be cool, but it is not going to get over the ink caster stats wise, unless you had Basira, which even then not gonna do you much good. I'm trying to think. I'm using part of my brain power to try to think what kind of unique you would want to see from a Saudi. I think one of the most popular ones to seek out would be a ramp Sakabaru.
Yeah.
Um, and then I wonder if there's chocolate bar in this build, but we just haven't been able to see the combo yet.
Yeah, I feel like if you are running a Saudi deck, you're more than likely using the Eat Me energy bar, but again, like I said, this could be a completely separate type of Itzadi, and they just threw a Sakurabu in there for fun. Uh, I don't know. It is one of those things where now they'll have the Sakuraru go to reserve, and they'll have to take things down, and we will just see the Navinka pass opting to just be like, "You probably don't have anything else, so I'll just take the free advance and keep the cards so I don't have to use anything." And they'll be able to just see how things go here, and, yeah, we'll just get rid of the Chiron, and we're back to realistically where we were before, except Itzadi got to get an advance out of that, so just a slight lead for the Navenka and probably doesn't need too much more to take this game, but they are down quite a bit on mana compared to the Itzadi, so we'll see if they can take advantage of at least that resource and potentially take this game because they aren't quite behind too much on the Tumult in comparison to some other lower tier heroes like a Ghoul Ring, for example, where when you do get online, even though you're online, you're probably down 5 spots on the tumult and you can't win anyway. But, Saudi at this point definitely can take advantage of that resource of mana and maybe take this game with a little bit of a surprise, but it's gonna take some doing, especially with how aggressive this Navenka has been thus far. But we'll see. Might see some magical training returned by Hathor. Keep on drawing, who knows?
Yeah, it is very interesting to see. Yeah, there's our big first unique, gigantic, tough one, and at dusk draw a card. That does very much seem like an Saudi unique. Also has a support ability for draw a card. But even with all of this and the Atsadi ability, you'll notice that we are equal on card advantage right now. Um, Count the reserve and the fact that Atsadi played a card already, not exactly equal, but Nevenka can, like you said, do a magic. What?
It seems
What?
it seems like they just don't have anything, and, "Oh, I get a crash out of that." Awesome. See if, I can get a fix of my thing.
Yeah,
Alright, I
that
found
was not something I was expecting. We see the Sakabaru get discarded from the reserve for Kaifu. There's nothing you do with that after you get the from hand ability. And now we're going into another turn. I was gonna say Atsadi's main mechanic is drawing cards, and you see the Haven Serengars here in the deck and like that. But there's not that much of a card advantage for Sadi currently. And normally, I would say playing big things is very hard to pull off when you're this behind. But that went just about as perfectly as as it could have for Sadi. Ooh, now the chocolate bar.
and just enough mana too to potentially throw out that Sakuraburu again, um, and just make it that much more difficult for the Navenka to win this game. I was gonna say, it seemed like the Navenka, especially after just passing and saving their resources, probably didn't have any removal for a bigger card. Potentially. So I was surprised that we just didn't see the Kaibara come out again. But at this point, they looks like they finally did run into one there with the cloth cocoon, and they'll say, I don't want to deal with a potential Sakurabru gigantic play here. And we'll have to see how Kaifu responds. Only 7 mana to play with. And they're just gonna throw out the infamous Valmon is what I don't even know. Sounds like a Digimon. If you have 10 or more mana orbs, because we rarely see this card, it is gigantic anyway. And guess what? There's 10 mana orbs, so we do see a gigantic bear, and it doesn't look like the Navinka is going to be able to necessarily catch up to it. And it looks like we may see a rare Itzadi win here.
Yeah, that was a very interesting turn of events. I don't think there was anything that the Navenka could have done to block one side with that Kaibara. It does have pretty big stats at 788. But normally in that situation, you can't remove it because it has tough. You'd want to stack to one side and at least stop the double advance, but that did not happen. And Kaifu is off to a lead once again on a hero you don't see too often.
Yeah, it's one of those things where Kaifu played it pretty well in the sense of they could have played it in hopes that Nilasha didn't have a removal as far as the big whale the second time, but playing the big brains of it's Lyra and they may have a cloth cocoon. and your whale would have fleeting would completely knock it out and just playing some smaller cards ahead of time and forcing them to use it on the candy bar instead. Worked out for him. We still have quite a few games left here in the Swiss round one of the AWOL Season 2 Wednesday Weekly, number 11. Who should we take a look at as I pull back here?
Let's see. We do have table 4. It looks like it's not super progressed, at least according to the percentage, and it's Kaiki versus Demirion.
Sure, why not?
Uh,
Oh, Lindaway versus
ooh,
Anafanis.
this is an interesting expedition we have here, though.
Yeah, Faunus down, but has two dancers out. Only 4 mana left for the Lindaway, so they could still try to throw out that off you go, but might not be enough to stop the Faunus from double advancing. They also could just throw out a little tooth fairy and eventually Baba Zizba it as well, but instead they're gonna opt for that off you go, and which will most definitely cause a 2-0 here for the Afanas, but maybe they're trying to get them to use all the resources on those mage dancers, and they'll be fleeting at the end of this anyway if they don't have a helping hand.
Yeah, looking at the discard, there are some uniques that draw cards for both sides. The Aphanis from Kaiki has a red, and the Lindaway has a Katagir and Alchemist that sacrifices a character from hand, which Lindaway loves that, and then draws 2 cards. Very, very good pickup for Lindaway, but as you said, there is a double move in the cards for a Faunus and a Pomola. It's actually going to get rid of this Isba as well.
Yeah, looks like they're probably gonna discard the Baba Yaga in reserve, I'd have to imagine. Yeah, so that they can target the Baba Zizba. Little irony there for everybody. And we do get a 2-0 for the Afanis on the first player Linda Way Ma turn, so not too hot there. We'll have to wonder what the decision was behind just using that off you go. Maybe just trying to play for this turn potentially and hit a small step giant leap, or just try to win the game. Who knows? Either way, we have pretty similar card advantage. Maybe one more card in reserve here for the Aphanis and one more mana. And so they'll just try to slow play it. Surprised that we didn't just go ahead and see the Mage Dancer come out right away, being afraid of potential sabotage. But it doesn't matter because guess what? Small step giant leap. They still run it in these decks even when
Yep.
you're not safe from Ysmir, and we do see an advance and a win for Demirion on the Lindaway.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think we've seen actually an increase in small step usage. Maybe people getting it out of their system before they're worried about it being changed. But seeing that alchemist, seeing the card draw, when you're drawing that many cards, your end goal is more than likely draw the small step and win with that. Uh, we've even seen Arok and Navenka start using small step. It's just wonderful out here with all the stepping.
Everyone's getting to step in as we go to the final game here of the Swiss round one. Table 9, it looks like. I'll pop it up on the board. Looks like we have a Sigismar versus an Akesha matchup
Oh my
just in time for another small step, but don't think many people are going to complain to see a Sigismar actually lose that matchup. And we see Akesha take the victory.
Yeah. While the round 2 loads in here, hello everyone in chat. Felix says about the Atsadi match. Atsadi was able to accumulate enough mana for a good amount of big boys. Early on, it looked like Navenka was going to win. Yeah, that turn, with the double advance with the Kaibara was pretty pivotal. Um, Very well statted Kaibara as well, but usually very hard to get out and double advance from at the same time.
Indubitably. And as you mentioned, we are going into the Swiss round two of the AWOL season two Wednesday weekly. And yeah, we'll take a look to see what we got going here. Um, that's unfortunate. There, just noticed something. Anyway, let's go to. I don't know. Which game should we take a look at here? Maybe we looked at them. Let's take a look at table 7, why not? Sure. Go to game, switch on over, Navinka versus an Afanis.
Ooh, we have a Navenka lead here. Looks like classic Afanis Baba Yaga opening. Ooh, that Tooth Fairy coming to hit the Ink Caster is going to be good.
Snowman equally good though for the stats, and it's not gonna gain fleeting because of the effect, so that's
Yeah.
nice. Have to deal with that Baba Yaga being played though, which, will go ahead and cause a help. I mean, at least we'll have to see a roll out of it, and ooh, we'll see an anchored potentially, maybe a boost. They're gonna opt for the boost to block the double advance and just take a one for one. Unfortunate, no anchored this time around, but they will take the lead at least on two spots on the tumult over the Afanis. But you do gotta watch out for the Afanis late game and just collecting too many cards in the hand and just returning them constantly. So we'll see if Gamma Knight can keep up and potentially just win the game before Afanis gets too carried away, which I think is gonna be the win condition this time around.
Yeah. Targeting the snowman was likely the only choice with the Navenka ability. Because if you target the Martingale and you get the boost, it's not enough to outstat the Baba Yaga anywhere. The result would have been great on the Martingale. I would love a anchored Martingale, but just safer to put it on the snowman in the end and get an advance out of it.
Yeah, I see some pretty funny martingale plays on Navinka where just keeping them out forever and then playing cards like All In to make it a huge martingale. And even a rare Eat Me energy bars to make it a gigantic martingale.
There you
Some
go.
some fun lists that you can make up as we see another sabotage. It looks like it's just a regular tooth fairy setup here for the Afanis and making sure that Navinka can't get any cash for their missing teeth. I feel like Navinka has a nice set of chompers though, so you don't really have to worry about that in general. Either way, unique Hatter. When you roll one or more dice, you may return a card from your reserve to your hand. All right. Looks like we'll get a returned snowman here potentially.
Yeah. The Tooth Fairy coming out is very nice for a Faunus, but at the same time, taking out one Ink Caster and one Martingale, but using two Tooth Fairies, um, and a Faunus not having a way to bring the Tooth Fairies back most commonly is kind of a lot of effort used, and Navenka's going to have more of them available, but will not be able to use the Hatter's ability now.
Yeah, clutchel removal there. Not gonna be able to return that snowman. We may see the Hatter be used for the support ability and keep the Hathor out there potentially if they want to, but instead gonna see if they can
Ooh.
roll on it first. And whoo, that's not what you want to see. At least this way you can discard the Hathor and pick a card up.
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
We'll give
Um,
up a 2-0, but they had some ground to work with here. They're already up by two spots in the tumult. Now they don't have to get rid of a card in reserve now. So big brain thinking. Maybe Gamma Knight thought they wanted the roll one, so that way they can use the Hathor effect.
Maybe that was the plan all along.
Yeah. Or not. Either way, we do have an all even tumult at this point. Afanis with the slight lead on resources and decides not to mana. What is this blasphemy? And
Huh.
we got a martingale coming out in response. There is no water available for the snowman, but there's some mountain that they can take advantage of unless they get rime frosted and only one card left, and it is that unique Hatter, which potentially could return the snowman if they so choose, but we'll have to worry about that 4 cost off you go at this point if they want to use it, which they definitely could.
Let's see, what do we got here? So, classic sabotage if you fail to move forward, and when I go to reserve from the expedition zone, you may return a spell from your reserve to your hand. Nice. Looking at this player, Buchox, they seem to play a more aggressive Afonis. Seeing the Rhyme Frost come out, I'm assuming that they might still be on a withered tree Afonis. Um, but we'll have to see. The snowman got hit with the Rhyme Frost. Interesting to do that without a body to put the boost on, but the
Yeah, especially knowing that they had the Hatter in hand and they could potentially return the snowman anyway. Um, I don't know if we'll see the snowman come out here though, because it will gain fleeting on either expedition being played, and they are currently already able to double advance. So we'll just see the Rhymefrost played purely for a boost and to block that martingale, it looks like. And yeah, so the block will come out, and it looks like they're gonna go ahead and save that snowman for the following day here, where they run into the water terrain on the hero expedition, and everyone is happy at the end of the day. But yeah, card return for the Afanis in the meantime.
yeah, from looking at the history, and I think talking to Gamma Knight across a couple different games, they do run one copy of Small Step Giant Leap. So usually when you're up against a Faunus, your main goal is just to not let them get into small step territory. But now it is likely available for both players, and we are equal in expedition currently.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it turns out and who can get the first player turn if they both end up doing that. We will see the snowman come out though to contest that water only terrain against the Afanis on the hero side. We'll have to see if they have any other spells to keep on boosting up their unique, or if they're just gonna throw out maybe even the little one cost studious disciple. But they're gonna opt out to play another unique in a caregiver, where if you pay one, if you do, I gain one boost. At dusk, if I have two or more boosts, you may return a spell from your reserve to your hand. So they could use the additional costs, but it doesn't look like they will, and they're gonna have to play another card to get 2 boosts potentially and be able to return a card, but it doesn't look like they will be able to do that and return the helping hand, but I don't know. We'll have to return it using just the monolith effect, I believe, before it goes to reserve. So, either way, no one's upset. Could potentially just use the, caregiver for an anchoring. Or just off you go.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I was trying to figure out what the line is here because the caregiver is not providing anything in the way of advance or block on the companion side, and its ability doesn't come online unless it has two boosts. So you could have paid the one and then maybe had another helping hand or a beauty sleep or something like that in hand for one and used the Studious Disciple, but was not the case. Another one, but we have the Martingale at least.
Yeah, so we had a situation there where the Afanis had to opt to either boost up the unique legat or the unique caregiver, and either would have had to worry about the rolling effect of the Navenka. So just picks one. Let's Navenka decide to give the effect to the Martingale and get a one for one here. So even up all again, and if we do go to another one for one, it will be up to the Afanis to go first and potentially small step first. But that may not be what it comes down to. I feel like with two uniques, the Afanis definitely is in the driver's seat potentially, but we'll go ahead and have to see where it goes here. Good card to be played there with the Snowman on the Hero Expedition, covering both the water and mountain terrain. And it looks like the Faunus is just going to be happy to go one for one potentially, but we'll have to contest that Katagir and Mage Dancer that Lyra also has.
Yeah, there's not much in the way of maybe a trickster could come out here, which would be really good. What else could we see? How much is a trickster? Two from hand, yeah. Oh, I mean, another mage dancer would do it. What's the most opportune one cost spell or something right here? Uh,
Is Silent Night one cost or is it two?
um, it might be one. I don't think Gamma Knight usually runs it.
I don't think anyone runs it. I'm just thinking of like a rolling one cost spell, and it's the only one that I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah,
But
so we're only gonna see. I mean, if a Martingale comes out, that would be perfect in this situation.
but we've already
Uh,
seen two of them from Gamma Knight, I believe, right?
Yep, there's a third somewhere. Ooh, Beauty Sleep. There's there's a optimal one cost spell, but from the wrong side.
Yeah, the fact that we saw that makes me think that the font and the idea that the Faunus was just trying to win one side, that we may see we might just see a small step as that final card in hand there potentially, and we may be looking at another Ysmir small step victory unless we see some magic here from Gamma Knight with only one mana left, which I can't think of anything that's just gonna stop that legat over on the companion side. Yeah,
Yeah,
looks like we'll just see some boosts happening instead, and crossing your fingers and hope that your opponent doesn't have a small step pretty much.
yeah. Gamma Knight's already calling GG in the chat. Oh, but it was an off you go. Is this going to allow for a double move? No.
Yeah, it would.
Oh, the boost from
Yeah.
Aphanis.
Yeah.
Shoot, yeah, I did not think about the boost.
Yeah.
A different ending than a small step. If there was a Martingale in hand for Gamma Knight, that could have gone a little differently, as Martingale is one in forest and one in mountain. It could have helped out on that companion side. That is not what we saw today.
GG's for the Aphanis, taking the victory, didn't even need to do it through the magic of a small step. And we'll head back here. We are currently participating in the Swiss round two of this AWOL. Season 2, Wednesday Weekly, number 11. We just watched an Aphanis win. I know, shocker. And hopefully we don't have to watch them win too much more in the future, but I can't make you any promises. Anyway, let's take a look to see what we have left on the board. Let's go to table 10 because I don't care about the top tables yet.
Update from the top tables, though. Kaifu remains undefeated on Atsadi. So that is going to get very interesting the longer she remains undefeated.
Indeed, we'll have to see if it pans out and get another low tier hero on the top of this AWOL Wednesday. But in the meantime, we will see a Tasia versus an Kojo and Buddha that has double Haven out,
Yeah.
and a lot of stats on the board potentially. We'll have to see what the Tasia can do with the remaining 2 cards in hand. Looks like they were able to dominate early, but just ran out of resources and couldn't anchor quite enough cards. So we'll have to see how this works out for them. They're just going to try to stack up on the one side and hopefully get an advance out of it. But it's going to be pretty hard to get past that Haven Warrior that's sitting in the reserve, especially with 2 boosts. And it'll have to be a pretty big card here, potentially a removal in order to take this game. And a Lost in the Woods will be a good removal. Now, is there anything left for 2 mana on the Kojo side of things in order to take this game? Makes you think if that maybe they should have played something else before playing that. And they're gonna opt for the Intimidation, which will still not be enough.
No, it looks like from looking at the discard of Kojo, a little bit interesting of a build. Seems like they were trying to tear apart Tasia as much as they could early on, but with things like Thespian and Ogun and some other ways to get boosts, the Tasia just took that out. Um,
Yeah, it's weird. The Kojo definitely could have still stayed in that game if they had just used the intimidation before playing their one character that could outstat everything and not have to worry about that removal of the Lost in the Woods. But unfortunately, that is not the line that they took. So we see a Tasia victory over the Kojo despite having a lot of setup there. We are still actively in Swiss round two, and I believe we only have 2 games left here. And why not take a look at table two since we haven't seen either of these players play yet? It is Runefolk on the Finn and Crowbar and Daggeron on the Sigmar. And
yeah,
a
Rune Folk deciding what to do here with the two remaining mana. There are three uniques on the board. The Esmeralda does a mostly classic resupply, and then at dusk has a anchor just for nothing. Up to one target character gains anchored at dusk. Don't have to do anything to satisfy it. The cloth dancer is only one character at dusk gains fleeting. And then the a lot of at dusk here. The flamel is at dusk you may return a spell from your reserve to your hand.
lot of utility, and of course, Runefolk gets all 3 uniques available to them. But granted, it looks like they've been going through their deck. Only 10 cards, 2 cards, man, 10 cards in the deck left. So been able to go through things. They're gonna opt to anchor that Flamel instead of the Cloth Dancer, which could make some sense since that Cloth Dancer does have an anywhere ability of giving a character a sleep, and you may give it 2 boosts. And we will see a fleeting go on that attorney as well. So Sigismar is not going to have a lot of resources to work with here, despite having an Ordeus carrier out and a monolith legat in the reserve. And we'll have a lot to try to figure out, especially with that resupply coming in from the Finn and having such a huge amount of cards in hand. I feel like Moonfolk can probably just slow play this and take the victory with a potential 2-0 here, but who knows? We may see some Sigismar magic in the process.
Yeah, this would be a very interesting time for a small step. It is much less common, but you will see sometimes when a player is winning on one expedition, and that is all they're really going to need. They have enough mana, small step, and then just win on the one side to secure the victory.
Definitely could do that. I feel like there's just so many resources though for Runefolk that we're likely just to see some slow playing here until Sigismar plays everything. They also have that Cloth Dancer available that can just sleep anything that the Sigismar throws out and already stacked up pretty high on that companion side. So Sigismar is going to have a lot to work with as far as what they have in hand, and I said a lot to work with, but not a lot to work with, rather. And just a little bit too much on the resources side for the Finn, especially with the resupplies, cards in hand, allowing for a lot of draw, especially with that magical training that I have to imagine has been used more than once as far as card return is concerned. So,
Yeah, I like Runefolk's position in this. Seems like he let the Sigismar just kind of spin his wheels a bunch, put out a bunch of stuff while collecting everything he needs, getting card advantage, having all three uniques remaining out, and I'm not sure even a charge would win the game for Sigismar right here.
yeah, especially since we don't really see charge all that much anymore from Sigismar players. Usually they try to have it in some type of unique ability.
Oh,
We will see a unique come out here though with a fire rabbit from hand. You may have me gain fleeting. If you do, create two Ordis recruits. Jesus.
oh my god! And then it
And
creates two from anywhere.
yeah, so that's just a lot of value there as far as throwing some recruits out there. Now would be a great time to have a charge, but they have no cards left in hand. We'll have to see if Runefolk is able to manage to block all of those cards that are available in Companion Zone. Too bad, I doubt there is any availability of a Blizzard because it doesn't exist for him at the moment. But could definitely do some removal. Gonna opt to throw out that Esmeralda instead. Throw some stats, and you may put a card in your reserve if you do resupply. And it looks like we'll throw out the Magping Hoarder, which can definitely get some boosts for 2 costs. And will that be enough? 4 boosts? Yeah, it will be. Plenty of stats left for Runefolk. They were never worried and were able to get the 2-0 advance and take the game.
Yeah, there was a lot on the board for Runefolk as well. If you take a closer look at that Cloth Dancer, it did also have a quick action of making a card cost one less, which can open up a lot of opportunity in hand. And then, as we mentioned earlier, it does have a sleep ability as well. The main the main problem with the sleep part is everything on Sigismar is just 1/1/1, so it's not a really good target for being put to sleep.
True, but didn't even have to worry about playing that card and just threw about a bunch of stats out instead. Who needs it, right? We are in the Swiss round 3 at this point. This is the AWOL Season 2 Wednesday Weekly, number 11. Thank you again for everyone that has joined us thus far. Moving through these rounds quick, fast, and we'll see how fast we can get through it. Might be a record this time. Only 45 minutes in, and we're already done with 2 rounds. So excited to see what we can do here as far as breaking records. Anyway, let's take a look to see what we have available. Anyone we have not taken a look at yet thus far?
So
Um,
we have table 6, 7, and 11.
okay.
The interesting thing about table 11 is both players are 0 and 2. So whoever wins table 11 gets to go 1 and 3 instead of 0 and 3.
I love the analysis on that. Did you had to bust out that calculator on that one?
No, what always throws me off, and I had to make sure I wasn't thinking incorrectly, is the played versus the points on how
Oh,
BGA displays it. Sometimes I get that mixed up.
I'm gonna go ahead and go to that game based off of that setup there from Kohlrabi. And we're gonna see an Aurak versus an Aphanis, a traditional David versus Goliath, and only water stats for the Aurak thus far. And you know what? It's working. It's causing a beauty sleep from the Aphanis.
Interesting to see the sleep being put on the wisp because now Afanis is going to have to only worry about water on the hero side going into the next afternoon. I like to see Arak with 3 counters already. Should be fairly easy to get up to 5 here on this next afternoon. I still think Arak should be able to use the counters at dusk. Could be very exciting, but waiting until noon, what we have to do for now.
And probably for a good amount of time because no buffs. We don't do buffs in this house.
Mm.
Only nerfs. So the only buffs we'll see out of Aurak is if maybe there's a card that says switch it to dusk instead of noon potentially later on. I don't know if it exists. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. I'm not the one to ask for that. I don't have confidential information. I don't work for Equinox.
Not officially.
Not officially. I just spend all my time making videos for them. Not a big deal. Either way, we do see a nice little winter outfits to make that Lyra Navigator nice and cozy and get plenty of stats in the meantime. And we're also looking at a slick 2-0 for the Aurak and setting up with 5 counters, as you mentioned. And we'll see a nice little performance counter happening at noon.
Yeah, I love winter outfits. I much prefer the rare and only one running one copy. It has worked out for me a couple of times because it loses fleeting whenever it's played, basically, and it's not very common anyone wants to use removal on a winter outfits, so it's very sneaky tech. But was that a mighty Jin from the Arak pull?
And it indeed was. Not a bad card to get from the Aurak pool. At least it wasn't some random one cost card.
Yeah, I'm very used to getting a martingale or something like that. Also, a great expedition for the mighty Jin be pulled on the companion side.
And it
Honest,
has 0 stats, right? So it gets another counter in the meantime.
yep. Oh, okay. I guess it is easier to secure the advance on the hero side. I was expecting the Aphanis boost to go on the companion side and then maybe see another spell played. But we'll see what comes out next here.
Interestingly enough, we did see a rare Moth to a Flame just being played. Don't see those very often. Hard to give those rare slots up in a Faunus decks most times, and usually you only want to play that common version because you can only boost one of those moths, like you mentioned. But this time around, they're just going to opt to play the common one from reserve as well, and we'll see triple moth on the board. But it won't matter because we see a Martingale and 2 mana left here for the Aurak, but can't catch up on the hero side. So they'll just be happy to take one advance and still stay up on the tumult, which is honestly good for the Aurak, considering how difficult it could be. But yeah, Rare Mighty Jin doesn't have that draw ability, so we'll just go ahead and see it ramp up for the Aurak.
Yeah. It will be very cool if we see a Hydra right now, actually. I feel like this is one of the most opportune moments to play a Hydra. You're ahead by one on expeditions. Um, is the Lyra Hydra zeros as well, or is it different?
No, it should be zeros.
Yeah, so then it's also zeros. Fun fact, I have 0 Lyra Hydras somehow. I've never pulled one.
What?
Yeah, don't know how, but yeah, perfect positioning for a Hydra, but it does not look like that's what we're going to see. Should be another easy 5 counters out of this afternoon.
Yeah, I guess it's not too surprising though, as far as what you're talking about with not pulling certain cards, especially from Beyond the Gates. I opened more than my fair share of Kickstarter boxes of Beyond the Gates, and somehow I only ended up with one rare out of faction red, uh, and I didn't know how that was possible. I eventually got more, but the fact that I can open an entire case of Beyond the Gates Kickstarter and only hit one rare Izmir red was something else. But, we will see the Ephanas run out of mana here. They are up on both sides of the expeditions, but we'll have to see if Aurak has anything that they can say about it. They are close on water for the companion side, potentially. But other than that, not looking the same on the hero side because all they have is those winter outfits, which can be a big play for any Aurak player if they have enough cards to work with. But they're taking their sweet time at this point to see what they can do. And they're going to opt for the Sandman. Now, what's going to fall asleep? I don't know.
Their own navigator, very, very interesting. I think I would have went for the Pomola. Um, I that would have evened the stats, right? And also taken away the support action from the Pomola, which Aphanis is most definitely going to use if you're playing Pomola. But maybe not. I don't seen weirder things.
Yeah, probably won't be able to utilize it this time around since Aurak is the first player and they can just get that Sandman out, probably on that winter outfit side to have a solid 3/3/3 statted character. We'll have to see how these performance counters perform for the Aurak at this point and see if they can get another decent pull like they did on the previous setup with the Mighty Jin. And currently just even though. We'll have to see how things roll out. 5 counters, and we will see a Haven Sarengar for free being played.
Not bad, not bad. Could be better, but free stats are free stats, especially when paired against a winner outfits. Just thinking of that now, this is such a good combo for Arak, because you just play what you're getting for free on the side of your winter outfits. It's extra stats basically.
It is indeed, and they'll go ahead and take advantage of the terrain setup of mountain and water and let the Sandman boost things up as far as 7 water total with the Lyra Navigator. But that's not gonna stop the Afanis from throwing out Katagir and Mage Dancer, especially with having a Beauty Sleep available to them, potentially lower the stats of the Aurak. But we will see a Snowball Commando go ahead and exhaust another card for the Afanis, and even though they rolled a 3, doesn't matter because doesn't have anything reserved to get exhausted from themselves at this point. So, 1 card left in hand, though. We'll have to see if they're able to take advantage of that and take the lead as we see a Moth to a Flame come out for the Afanis.
Yeah, that is all of the Moth to a Flames out for Aphanis. I very interested that we have not seen a tree yet. Maybe it's not being played. Maybe they haven't gotten it at the right time. And Arak does pass, so we're not gonna. It hurts. It hurts so much. There's 4 counters, just one short.
Yeah, it would've been nice to get it, especially going into the following turn and being so close to potentially winning the game. 3 mana left though for the Faunus, and they definitely could at least get one advance here if they so choose and at the same time block the Aurak. But they'll have to give up potentially the Beauty Sleep for it or another card in hand, which would mean that there'll be a lot of cards in reserve as far as using resources, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because the Aurak only has 1 card in hand. And they will, in fact, go ahead and use that helping hand to boost things up and we'll see another 1 for 1 for the Afanis and the Aurak, and maybe even a final day coming up here, depending on how things sort out.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting choice. As we've mentioned throughout today, small step has become more prevalent. If you sleep something on the Auroch side with that beauty sleep, maybe you're putting yourself at more danger of Arak building the board more and then running into a small step. Whereas the way they did it, they just overcome the stats and advance themselves. And now Arak has nothing.
They indeed do not, but we'll have to see how it works out. A lot of zero stats for the Auroch player in reserve between the Seringer and the Lyra Navigator. I'd be curious to see the Navigator be used for the support ability as far as a resupply. I feel like there has to be a reason why they're using the rare Navigator and having the resupply available to them other than just having water stats and having a reduced cost. So maybe they're just using it for the reduced costs. Maybe they sometimes use it for the resupply. Could be cool to see if they're going to dig for it at this moment. But they're just going to go ahead and start out with the Seringer on the companion side, even though they don't have any forest to work with. And mostly as a block, I'd have to imagine for the Faunus. And we will see that Navigator get hit by an exhaust, so we won't even get the opportunity to see what they're going to do with it, at least this day. They do hit those 6 performance counters total now at this point and probably have another card in hand that can add another counter. So unless the Afanis takes the game this turn, we will potentially get to see a third use of those counters. And oh boy, a rare Persephone is not something we see very often, and that is going to make that Serenker that much better.
Yeah, so what do this Scald unique is going to come online here, and it's going to immediately satisfy its condition. And we already see the Rhyme Frost able to play from reserve. It looks, yeah, it looks like Afanis is gonna take this one with that move right there. Very interesting deck as well to see the Rhyme Frost, to see the Moths to a Flame, the Pomola, but see no Withering Tree. Be very interested to see. I guess I could look and see if this deck has been played by McGroy Boy before. No, they have not. Had a result that I can look up on 39 cards since the Keelan guys bi-weekly with Kojo. So remains a mystery.
We'll have to figure it out later, but at this point, we see a victory for Ediphanis versus the Auroch. Unfortunately for the Auroch, things weren't looking too out of hand, and I thought they may be able to pick up a victory and maybe even a third setup of the performance counters, but it was not meant to be. We are still actively in the Swiss round 3 of the AWOL Season 2 Wednesday Weekly number 11. I am Blue. I am commentating with Cole Robbie. We talk about stuff sometimes, and that includes AWOL. Um, we'll have to see what we have left here for the games. And don't believe we've seen. Have we seen Table 5? Yeah, we saw.
We saw the very end from
Yeah,
KRA Coco.
yeah.
That's about it. I think out of the tables still remaining, we've seen at least one of each of them. Uh,
Okay.
Table 8 is at 43%, which is always scary to see. Going into it, it doesn't look as bad as that sounds, though. BGA just makes up percentages sometimes.
I agree with you there. So I'm gonna go to table 5 because, like you mentioned, we only saw the end of that one for a small step, and it will be a Sierra versus a Tasia. All right, a lot of cards on the board here for the Tasia, and the Sierra looks like they're running the traditional Ouroboros dig through your entire deck build, and we don't see a Grassbug Hive out yet. Don't see one in the discard either, but we do see a Nilum Withered Tree in the discard. So it's definitely at least a Withered Tree Sierra. I'm not sure if we'll see any hives at any point, but still has some mana here potentially to play one if they so choose, and maybe just trying to get around any type of removal that the Tasia could have had. But a lot of stats to compete with if they are gonna try to make things work, and they'll just start off with a little bit of hooked action.
Mm, and not a rare one, so no card draw. What's very interesting about this matchup currently is, as you mentioned, the Sierra is on the cycle type of deck for the most part, but is not as much ahead of going through their deck as you would think. The Tasia has a lot of card draw and resupply that they've been using. So until that moment of playing another Bastion, Sierra was only 2 cards ahead of Asia, but now very much ahead on the Tumult.
Yeah, been maintaining a lead. I'd have to imagine that withered tree that we see in the discard was probably part of it, and the Tasia had felt like they had to deal with it at some point, and sure, they do have a Mana Reaping in their discard, but nothing else, so I'm not sure how they got rid of the Nilum, um, but, maybe it's has to do with something else? I'm not sure, because if it was the Mana Reaping, it definitely would not be in the discard for the Sierra. Either way, enough trying to guess. We do see a Sierra up on the Tumult, as you mentioned, and we'll have to see if they have any other cards here to try to end the game quickly before the Tasia can come back. And they do have that unique Dracana out on the board that will draw a card at noon and help keep up on the card advantage despite being down 2 mana, it looks like.
Yeah, this one's gonna be really interesting. Asia doesn't have a whole lot built up. Looks like one Spindle Muna Bastion is in discard. So no protection, no extra boosts at noon. I do like to see a reserve like this from Tasia. Muna Druid, perfect to re-anchor the Dracana. Floral Tent to get some resupply. But with two Lyra Bastions out, the Sierra basically has access to whatever they want.
Yeah, when you don't have standard protection as far as trees are concerned, as a Tasia player, you can always rely on some backup protection in the form of a floral tent. It's not always as good as the real thing, but you got to work with the protection that you have, you know, and you can apply that story to life as a whole. We do have another resupply into a Gabil that will keep on resupplying at this point, I have to imagine, until the Sierra runs into something that they want to play. Three Little Pigs isn't a bad statted card if they just so choose to keep it, and it looks like they will. And we'll have to see if they keep on deciding to resupply with that Inari, but they're just going to opt to do some Nilum Withered Tree exhausting and hit that Ogun so things don't get boosted up too much.
Yeah, this is a very interesting sequence of turns. I do this very often and usually kick myself for it, where I get too ahead of myself and don't use the quick action from the Muna Druid, which in most cases puts you in a very dangerous position to have it sabotaged or exhausted. The O-Gun is probably the better choice to exhaust. As you said, it'll boost a bunch of plants. It's only 2 mana. Um, but that Druid hanging out there, still not being used, does scare me. Maybe the Tasia does not have very much in the way of stats in hand. Also,
It can
running
just
out of
get
time.
Yeah, it could have just been exhausted again here at this point using the supportability of the Inari, but looks like the Sierra is going to opt for another resupply instead. Not too worried about the Muna Druid and just wants to get more stats out on the board. Probably could have just used the Inari for the stats over the Vike, but either way, we do see finally the anchoring happening for the Tasia player, and we'll have to see what they have in hand that could potentially catch them up on the companion side. Not a bad start there with the Thespian.
Ooh, but we see the Kellen burst come out. Thespian was a very good play to start to get things together. Good news is that killing burst was just spent, and this thespian can come right back. It was the only choice though. The Dracano it would have done nothing to. So
Yeah, the
oh, it
Thespian
doesn't. Yeah,
yeah.
it won't get the boost because Tasia is
Yeah.
spent. Yeah.
Yeah. Notably, like you're mentioning there, won't get the effect this time around, and it looks like Tasia doesn't have anything else potentially to catch up here. We will see it pass, and, oh, they are able to snoozer shroom, but it is not the rare, so they can't pay extra to sleep something. But who needs it when you can just beauty sleep instead?
Yeah. 5 cards left. 2 Hive, 2 Nilum.
Uh,
Neelam.
it couldn't be the 2 Nilum because you've have 1 in discard and 1 in, your setup, so, has to be 2 Hive and something else, sorry. 'Cause I saw a Nilum in the discard, I know I did. I didn't make it up, yeah, it's there.
Yeah, it is there. Hopefully MLD 248 is not miscounting, because that was me reading their game chat.
Yeah, I see it as well, so, maybe they just don't remember the Nilum going away to the discard. Either way, I'm sure they're happy with a Brass Bug Hive potentially, because 'cause that'll be a lot of stats on the board, and they already have another Brass Bug from that sleeping encounter. Does keep Tasia alive though, and we're down to an even setup on the tumult, and we do have the Tasia in negative time at this point though. So we'll have to see how that makes things move forward. Plenty of time though for the Sierra. So we have a little bit to work with as far as available time from BGA, I'd have to imagine. But we'll go ahead and see a unique gem of the Assembly Overseer that lets you activate the anywhere ability of target permanent you control, and they're going to opt to do some exhausting in order to bring out a Manamoth.
Ooh, another unique Arcana that does the same thing. How nice. And this one's gonna be interesting. The hard part is if Asia has a way out of this stats wise. That clock is yeah very dangerous. We're 25 minutes into the game, so I think they still have some room.
Yeah.
Um,
They
are
don't have a way
we?
out. They don't have a way out stats wise now though. So
Yeah, are we going to arena or is this just over? Is the question. Yeah, that mountain from Sierra is just gonna lock it down.
yeah, even if the Tasia ended up advancing there, we would have seen a double advance for the Sierra, and that would have prioritized things over any arena tiebreaker. We will see the Sierra end up taking that victory, finally running into a Brass Bug Hive at the bottom of their deck and beating ARA Coco 2. And I believe that should pretty be close to the end of the Swiss round 3, I think.
Yep, we are heading into 4 now.
Swiss round 4. This is the AWOL Season 2 Wednesday Weekly, number 11. I am Blue. Go watch my video that I posted today. It's about Booster Wars. If you haven't played that game type before within Altered, it is quite fun, and it only costs you 2 packs. So if you're cheap and you don't want to build a deck and you just want to try out the game, buy some packs. Play Booster Wars. Uh,
Buy 30 packs and do it 15 times.
exactly. Or you can make your friends buy 30 packs as well, and you can do it 30 times. And then you could build a deck afterwards. You could probably make a deck out of 30 packs. I don't know. Um, like I mentioned, Swiss round 4. Let's take a look at some games. We did see Kaifu lose on the Itzadi that last round, so we won't see an Itzadi undefeated run here. But maybe we'll see these other folks lose and get an Itzadi victory anyway with only 1 loss. Still a possibility. Either way, we'll take a look at some games. Um, what do we have going on here? Random 1, 2, 2. Let's go with number 5. Sweet.
All right. Yeah, I do not believe we've seen Victor playing today. We just saw MLD on the Sierra. Will be interesting to see how the setup goes this time. And then Victor on Siggy. I am going to take just a real quick break and let Blue tell you guys all the things, and I'll be right back.
As we see Kohlrabi leave and leave me all to my lonesome, we'll talk about some altered here. Thanks everyone that's joined us thus far. If you want to help me sell out and subscribe to my channel, I'd very much appreciate it. If not, I'll just cry myself to sleep, but appreciate your participation nonetheless. As we watch a Sierra versus a Sigismar, both heroes that I actually like playing quite a bit. We'll have to see if the Sierra this time around can run into some permanents that they want to run into. We do see a unique category in Alchemist that's going to produce a whole lot of tokens, creating two recruits on either expedition, but it's not going to matter because we'll see a Nilum pop out for the Sierra. And if you're going to get a Nilum, having it on your day two turn is a good time to do it because now you're just going one for one and you have a Nilum to work with here in the future. And it's going to be quite annoying for the Sigismar, if I have to say so myself. And I will say it because I am myself. But, either way, it was a fun little unique as far as the Alchemist is concerned. We'll have to see if they can utilize the Sierra in a way to exhaust some of those cards in reserve for the Sigismar that does have a lot of cards in hand. They will have to decide to mana here first and have 4 left in hand, 3 in hand for the Sierra, but they will be playing first, and they're gonna start us off with a unique Ogun. When a robot joins your expedition, robots you control other than me gain one boost, and then from reserve, you may pay one. If you do, you may activate the anywhere abilities of target permanent you control, which I have to imagine is the main purpose here for this Ogun with the Sierra build. But we'll have to see how that works out. We'll have to pay extra to activate it. And in the meantime, we will see the Sigismar try to take an advantage of that 2 cost Baba Yaga and get ahead for the moment, but not currently after the Foundry armor is played. But still plenty mana left here for the Sigismar, and could definitely go one for one, like we had seen the previous day. But we'll have to wait. In the meantime, Sierra looking quite good, especially if they can run into a potential Grassbug Hive. In the meantime, we do have the potential for a one for one. We did see the unique alchemist go on the companion side instead of the hero side, and we'll just go ahead and have a one cost trooper come out and help the Sigismar advance on both sides, utilizing that water from the alchemist and the water from the mechanic to take the companion side while only giving up one from the Sierra. I've been talking a lot, but yeah, anyone still in chat, feel free to tell me how your day has gone. Have you any of you competed in any tumults? How have you done in your respective tumult championships? I'd be curious to see how the Kurokami event does end up happening, and we will see an early this time around Grassbug Hive for the Sierra setup here. And they're just going to prioritize one side. Don't even want to deal with the Sigismar on the hero side. Simon is going to have one tumult for the area and freeloader, no tumults either, but had a cool day. Had the Keelon guy cook for him. Yeah, I'm curious to know what he cooked as well. Simon asked him. Always have recipes flying around in the DMs these days. Speaking of DMs, apparently Twitter is taking away DMs.
What?
Yeah, you didn't hear about this? It's crazy.
Oh boy, what another lovely change to the Twitter app that I have been using since like 2009. I love to hear it, and for what Elon guy cooked, I can also answer that. There was some drunken mushrooms and, I actually forgot what else. But I'm
Potatoes
back.
potatoes and lentils per freeloader, so
Oh, yeah, barbecue lentils. It sounds amazing.
and, looks like Runefolk had a tumult on Sunday and got to meet Pandy for the first time, but Runefolk got second, unfortunately. Did Pandy dominate you? Is that what happened? That you get I mean, at the tumult, not afterwards, but at the tumult, did he dominate you? Or was it someone else? What did you end up playing, Runefolk? I'll be curious. We are watching this game too, by the way. We did get a Hive allowing for the Sierra to go 1 for 1 there. They are behind though, so they'll have to deal with the Sigismar. But they at least have the ability to use that anywhere ability from or the reserve ability rather from the Ogun. It lets them activate um, an anywhere ability of a permanent. Surprised they didn't try to opt for maybe hitting an exhaust on the Nilum, but I guess they just want some more stats with the brass bug instead. And they're gonna just go for another Nilum anyway, and they'll gonna exhaust and hit a double moth moth as well as an individual grass bug that'll come out here. So a lot of stats per tokens from the Sierra. We'll have to see if the Sigismar can catch up.
Yeah, that O-gun is amazing. I think the only downside to this build and this O-gun is the fact that if you're not only running the Lyra Bastion, it's harder to cycle this O-gun back around.
Mhm.
Um, when we saw Kaifu win it last week, it was 3 different Repotter Otters that were cycled through. This O-gun is perfect for that, but it's doing heavy work right now.
Indeed, and it looks like Runefolk Pandy lost in top four already. So if did you didn't beat him in top four, did the same person that beat you in the finals beat Pandy in the top four then? That's that's how it would line up, right? So just the same individual smacking both AQZ members up and down the tumult. Be unfortunate. What did they play? Afanis? Probably.
Sigismar, if I remember correctly.
Sigismar. That'll be it too, I guess.
Yep.
Unfortunate for you both. A lot of stats though here for the Sierra player against the Sigismar, and the Sigismar is probably doing some counting to see if they can catch up, and they'll start off here with teamwork training, hitting one of the tokens. Oop, hit the microphone. Sorry. Ah, you were on a Faunus with Keelan Spindle, so you were a degenerate too. But glad the Sigismar was able to take you out.
Yeah.
I appreciate them now.
I
I was feeling bad at first, but not anymore.
I played in a tumult on Saturday, and we had no Ortis players. It was wonderful.
No Ortis players. Wow.
Yep, no Ortis players.
In my tumult, I only play. There's only one Ortis player, and I played him in the finals, and I beat him.
And you blew the true Ortis fanboy was not even playing Ortis from what I heard.
I wasn't, because I knew that other person was going to play Sigismar, and I didn't wanna leave it up to fate as far as doing a Sigismar mirror matchup, especially since I didn't have one of the uniques I wanted to play that I still
Mm,
haven't had a chance to get printed out yet.
yeah.
So, I opted for a Kojo and Buddha, which I feel like has a pretty good matchup into Sigismar as far as the, holy trinity of rock, paper, scissor matchups are concerned with Sigismar doing pretty well against Afanis, and I feel like Afanis cooks Kojo a lot of the time. And although I don't think it's a necessarily a winning matchup against Sigismar, I feel like Kojo probably has a better matchup than most other heroes. But we do see a lot of tokens come out here for the Sierra, who's trying to catch up to the Sigismar, who is one advance away from winning the game, and it will be up to this one unique play here from the GN. And what does it do? You may activate
Ooh.
anywhere ability of a permanent you control, which will put out a big boy brass bug. Now, does the Sigismar have enough removal and or stats to just take one expedition? I don't know. We're about to find out.
Yeah, I uh wha- I think it has to be more than one card, right, for Sigismar to get ahead here. The well, maybe quick maths, does that do it on the bug?
It does. That'll be enough for a one for one.
Yep, the water stat on Siggy is going to secure the victory. Good job played by Victor Mata. Very well done. Very good after you player, aka AFTU out of Brazil.
They didn't find a way to play after you on Sigismar. So you're
Not
clarifying.
yet, not yet. Maybe.
I mean, essentially, that's what rallying call is now too, right? So
Yeah, we have come to start calling certain things pseudo after you, so that is one of them.
indeed, we are in the Swiss round four. In case anyone was wondering, now that we're done with some other tangents and we're back into the games again. This is the AWOL Season 2 Wednesday Weekly, number 11. Do you know Spanish? What's 11 in Spanish?
I don't. Is 10 ocho or is that 8?
No,
Ocho
10
feels
is
like
10
8.
is 10 is diez.
Yeah,
Um,
is.
I don't know what 11 is though. I know, like, once you get into, like, the multi numbers, like 11, 12, 13, 14, it's like, you just say the first number with something else normally, but I don't know if that applies to 11. If anyone
Yeah.
knows in the chat, probably one of our more eclectic European folks wanna school us, let us know, which is weird because I live in California, I should know more Spanish, but I don't. Either way, let's take a look at some more games. Let's watch you wanna watch any game in particular?
I don't think we've seen originality, so table 3 might be interesting, and it's a
Alright,
low percentage.
let's do it.
Um, yeah, maybe I picked wrong. Maybe we don't want to see originality, but we'll see as the game goes on. Do you see a unique Hathor?
Unique Hathor, 2 from the hand, 4 from reserve, so it must do something special. If you control one or more landmarks, you may return a spell from your reserve to your hand, and that's a from anywhere ability. So it's pretty good from hand. Probably don't want to use it that much from reserve, especially since you can just use the support ability of the Hathor. But you got to have a landmark, so it makes me think that we're probably looking at some type of tree Akesha from originality. I can't imagine there's very many other permanents you'd want to use in Akesha unless you're playing hostage Akesha, but don't think that's the case in this scenario. Either way, the Akesha is in the lead versus the Navenka from Nalasha, and they will continue to probably stay in the lead after that Isatok play.
Yeah, Hathor can pick up a magical training to draw another card. Looking at the discard of originality, there's basically card draw and disruption. There's two Pomolas, which were likely used to exhaust cards. There are two off you goes, and now we see the Isatok come out. Very unfortunate that the Navenka stacked on the companion side. Makes sense when you realize both those cards have 0 water stats, though.
Victor Mata saying in Brazil they don't even have prediction about tumults. Yeah, that sucks. I know you guys in Brazil have had to deal with some delays on quite a few things, so hopefully you'll be able to get them in general. I've had difficulty with some stores, like one store in particular where there's kind of avoiding like they did the application for the tumult but haven't ordered it yet, so it's a bit annoying for me, but at least I've been able to do a tumult whereas you guys are been stuck on a few different things, including new sets sometimes, so
Yeah.
bit
I'm
of a
not
downer for Brazil, but hopefully it picks up soon.
yeah, I'm not even sure who the distributor is in Brazil, if it's technically like Asmodee Brazil or it's Asmodee North America or what,
I think
which
it's someone different because
yeah.
I remember at some point someone posting on Discord about it, Yeah, and Victor Mott is saying it's Galapagos. Okay.
Galapagos. The only distributor worse than Asmodee North America seems to be Galapagos. So, unfortunate, you have to deal with that, so
Yeah, hopefully it starts picking up. It seems like there's a good group of folks in Brazil playing the game, and it's been fun seeing you guys play, even when you don't necessarily have all the cards from a set and still do well. So hopefully it picks up. Enjoy a little spirit of Brazilian competition in the meantime. We will see the Akesha stay ahead, and they only need one more advance to take the game, and we'll have a unique attorney come out where has the usual attorney effect as far as drawing a card. No, it's when I leave the expedition zone. Okay. And then when my expedition fails to move forward during dusk after risk, you may return a spell from your reserve to your hand. So probably not going to be utilized here, but we will see a unique Alice instead.
an Alice with a Baku ability. Oh, and it was a small step that got discarded. Nice. That that is gonna take the game for the Akesha though. A little bit of a hybrid, um, hostage-esque Akesha deck. Is there ever a world or a circumstance where Akesha does not just play the most annoying possible deck? What do you think?
I mean, there's probably a scenario. I've seen some decent Akesha decks that aren't necessarily annoying. It's definitely one of those decks where you have to play, if you're not doing the hostage Akesha, you have to play an Akesha where it's just you're always trying to be the last person to play, and hopefully you can win in that fashion. I haven't seen any other variety of Akesha that does something similar and still win. I know there's been a few varieties that include the Nilum Withered Tree, but that's still some variation of just delaying the game until you can play last and win whatever you're doing. But who knows? It may vary. I've seen a lot of variations as far as like sleight of hands and whatnot to keep on playing things, but that's just another way of playing thin, it feels like too. So I don't know. We're still in Swiss round four, and we have a few games left. I'm gonna try to jump in table six to see if we can see that tiebreaker that's going on. So I like watching tiebreakers. And it is a tiebreaker versus a Tasia versus a Faunus, not a Sigismar. And we'll have to see if the Faunus can catch up here with only one card left for the Tasia.
Yeah, this is quite interesting. Asia is winning on every single region right now, element, whatever whatever you want to call it when it's in the arena. Um, we are currently on a Faunus's thinking time. Helping Hand is a very good start. I wonder if another one won't. Ooh, wow, that is a great, a great final card for Tasia. I was gonna say, I wonder if another Helping Hand is gonna be enough, and it's not.
Yeah, too many stats. The Tasia just happened to have enough characters overall to, even with some boosts, the Afanis won't be able to outpace things. I think the only other thing that might have been able to help them there instead of a helping hand would be potentially throwing out Beauty Sleep and be able to hit that Dracana and take out a lot of stats. But even then, that would have no, that probably would have taken them close, if not tied. But either way, we do see a victory there for the Tasia, taking out the Afanis. Glad I was able to see the tiebreaker. Still some games going on here in the Swiss round four, though. And we'll take a look at them as soon as I go back. And it looks only one game left. Table two.
Yeah, I am in here currently. This this Ortis Trooper is a very interesting, unique. And what makes it even more interesting is it's from a player who has over 500 elo. Why that's interesting to me is this is a very bad unique, but seemingly being played by a very good player. I'll have to look, see if we have any history.
Yeah,
I reckon.
I've seen Finturi play a few different times. I think the reason why we're seeing that unique is their other uniques are token generators, but they're not
Mm.
standard token generators. They're double token generators.
Oh,
And
beautiful.
they can probably get a lot of characters on the board that will allow them to utilize that boost more than the standard person would. And I'm guessing that's the thought process behind it.
Yeah, I think they have the same deck on every result, for the last month at least, I think, or so, and that Ortis Trooper is there. Um, very, very neck and neck game we have here, though, where
Yeah, it's a one for one. I'm not quite sure why they woke it up there, and Runefolk is confused as well because they would have had stats on the board. Um, and now they don't even get to keep the Sandman for a reserve play next. So I think that might have been a mistake on their end because
yeah.
they're gonna be at a pretty severe disadvantage now going into the arena tiebreaker.
Yeah, they're only going to have access to 2 cards. There's potential. Yeah, Ben will have 4 cards. They said, "I'm tired."
Okay. Yeah,
They
it
they
is.
are so tired, they tried to wake themselves up with that last play.
Yeah, they use the rallying call to wake up their cards instead of themselves, and it ends up being a probably not the most ideal play there, especially since they could have had some stats on the board here for the tiebreaker. I don't know how much it would have mattered at this point, but it definitely would have mattered at least a little bit. But we'll start off here with a simple common Hathor play from Runefolk on the Finn and Crowbar, and we'll have to see what's left. And with that
Mhm.
Baba Yaga, they'll have another card to play at least, not just the two that they drew. See if it's enough. Probably won't be, but we'll at least get to see an opportunity for it to be. And it will just be an Ortis attorney. And it feels like, especially with that cloth dancer in the reserve, any bigger cards are just going to get slept anyway. And we're more than likely going to be looking at a Runefolk victory here versus the Sigismar.
Yeah, I was trying to think if an Anubis, would even do well here, but I think there's just too many options that Runefolk has. Um, like you said, that Cloth Dancer is going to come out, negate the Baba Yaga, and it's a frog.
Yeah, it's interesting because at this point, that Sandman definitely would have made some difference. I don't know. It probably wouldn't have been enough overall, but it would have helped them win water, probably not mountain, and then they were already behind in forest, which with some boost, they might have been able to tie. So it could have made a difference. Either way, we're not going to know for sure because Runefolk takes the victory there. And that should be the final game for the round, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think before today, Runefolk was under 400 elo, and the Spaghetti Altered team is putting on a 400 plus elo tournament. Um, that is happening on Saturday, May 3rd at 9 a.m. Texas time.
Hmm.
Runefolk now qualifies as long as he doesn't lose 12 elo. So that game came in handy in more ways than one. And if you want to play in a tournament with just a bunch of heavy hitters or watch one, check out Spaghetti Altered. That is the Italian team, yes. And yes, they did name themselves that. So
So I don't know if you saw the thing as far as 4chan blowing up uh, recently.
no.
Yeah, it was someone hacked 4chan and now apparently it's gone. Bunch of other things, but either way, someone posted like their favorite 4chan posts, and one of them had to do with how Italians take steal things and make them better. kind of thing, and one of them was spaghetti and how they took noodles from the Asian countries and made spaghetti out of it. So either way, um, Swiss round five and enough spaghetti references, and we'll take a look at. Do we want to just look at the undefeated players playing Runefolk and Demirion, and see who takes it? Yes or no?
Let's I mean, if you are willing, I'd actually like to see table 3,
All right.
because we have not cursed Freeloader yet,
Oh,
and
we didn't get to watch Freeloader yet. No.
no, and Freeloader is also on Basira, which we haven't seen as much of yet today. Going against a Kojo. And I played earlier in the No Unique tournament, and Freeloader chose to spectate me first. And I had just about the worst Basira hand you could possibly think of. And then the event went downhill from there. So now let's curse Freeloader.
Sounds good. We do see a rare Ozma come out. Um, and yeah, I don't know if it's like officially gone, but like people, I don't know. It's a whole thing. It got hacked, and um, people said that they found out based off of the hacking that it was a government psyop or something like that. I don't know. Internet is crazy. Either way, let's get back to some altered. We have a lot of tiny gens on the board, including a common tiny gen, which we don't get to see very often. Um, for the Kojo here, as well as a rare Ozma, which is also something we don't get to see very often, being played by Freeloader on the Basira. And
Yeah.
if you weren't aware what Ozma does as a Bravos card, control two or more boosted characters, go ahead and draw a card.
Yeah, I think this is a very smart play in a Basira deck. I don't know if I have seen it as much, which makes it even smarter. And to give Freeloader a little bit of lax, I also was seemingly so tired. I did not put any occlutes in my Basira deck earlier, and I thought I had them the whole time. So it's like 40% my fault that it went so bad today, and another 60% Freeloader. So
I
shared
see.
shared responsibility there.
Yeah. Usually you want to have those occlutes for anyone that's watching and has never played Basira before. Pretty good card. I know I was able to play a game recently against a Finn and Crowbar when I had an occlute in my reserve and had some havens out, and I was able to just basically exhaust their entire reserve. Made their hero ability quite negligible, which was fun for me, and made me feel like a really big man. Um, allowing Finn not to even play the game. Either way, we won't see that Ozma being used for its ability, rather just for its stats and getting a double advance and evening things up here on the tumult.
Yeah, I really love Basira. I'm glad more people are working to figure out how to bring her into the conversation a lot more. I don't think there's another deck, or at least not one that I've played, that can stack so many interesting interactions in Limbo as Basira. And it's a lot of fun. Also means though, if you click out of order or solve out of order, it can hurt you. So
Definitely can. So anytime BGA warns you about picking something out of order, always press cancel just in case and click the other option sometimes, just so that way you can be sure you're getting everything that you want because it will screw you over on occasion. Um, We will see a lot of Jins being played for this game. It's a very Jin heavy game between the mighties and the tinies, and we will still see an advance out of the Basira, despite giving up the 2-0 from the Kojo here. And we'll have to see if we see that mighty Jin go to reserve. I have to imagine we will. Gotta love a good draw. But still 4 mana left for the Basira too, so maybe they didn't want to use that final card. Instead, we will see some Tiny Gens go to mana and Mighty Jin go to reserve. Maybe? Yes? Thinking? I don't know. Waiting?
I guess, the curse is working, but also Geo does not want us to leave because they are scared of Freeloader, and, Freeloader is saying, "You're just so far ahead." I feel like that's something he learned from Pandy Andy, where one thing will go wrong, and Pandy Andy will, exclaim that he is cooked and then come out to win the game.
Mm.
But we will see. The Kojo does have a good amount of mana and cards available, but there's a way to take care of one of them.
Indeed, we will see a Pathfinder come out, block that water side of things, but we do see a Haven Bravos Bastion come into play. But unfortunately, they get a intimidation rather than another character that could be played and help them with some advancing. So we'll see Kojo probably take advantage of this, and they indeed will by throwing out another mighty Jin that will make it difficult for the Basira to make anything out of it, and instead they'll go ahead and throw out a Chiron that's going to get boosted and then boosted again because of the hero ability. And still 2 mana left for the Kojo and can definitely take a 2-0 here. And sure enough, they do with a nice little Bravos Tracer.
Yeah. We we haven't even really seen that much from either deck if you consider there's basically tiny Jins in mana. There's a Mighty Jin and a Tracer in the discard for Kojo. And for Basira, there's an Ozma, a Rabbit, and an Intimidation. Um, so we really don't know what else is going on with these unless it's just very straightforward, but we're just zooming. This Kojo is face to face now.
Yeah, likely looking at a pretty good Kojo turn here, especially with the Buddha coming out and a lot of resources in the reserve for them. And they're just going to opt to take the resources away from Basira instead, starting off with a strong little Haven Bouncer sabotage, hitting the other Haven Bouncer. And Freeloader is going to say, I've had enough. I'm cooked. And Handy
Oh,
Andy it and let them win.
I am very much in trouble in the AQZ tower. I don't know why they let me join. I've been doing very terrible this past week. I think it is really just for my access to the marketplace and showing them uniques. I imagine I will be kicked out here soon. So it was
Some
fun while it lasted.
Yeah, somebody needs to get kicked out every once in a while from the AQZ tower. And yeah, freeloader, it happens. You can only you can get cursed, but you can never get the blessing, only give them. It's how how you were born, unfortunately.
Oh
And
my gosh. Do you still have the table chat up?
no, I don't. What
Oh,
happened?
G Geo just says my asshole is sweaty. I love a good table chat when it's not people saying very mean things in Spanish or Portuguese. Um, oh, the GGs and more things said. But I think now we're even. I have cursed Freeloader, he has cursed me, and now it's only blessings from here on out.
Sounds good. I want to go ahead and go to table one, the undefeated players. They're still playing actively, so we can see how that turns out. Then we can get it on stream for the recording for anyone that did want to take a look at this and see some amazing gameplay from a Finn versus. Oh, we get a nice little Linda Way play here for an undefeated player from Demirion. Forgot about that. Another Brazilian player. And we'll see who can take advantage of all the resources that they have available to them as we see Runefolk ahead on the Finn thus far. And of course, having a unique already. How does Runefolk always get all their uniques? It just doesn't seem fair sometimes.
You know what it is?
Mm,
They're young and handsome,
mm,
so the universe smiles upon them.
that's fair. That's fair.
Um, Also, double Magpang Hoarder, with the perfect setup and perfect amount of mana. Like, jeez.
It's gonna be a lot of stats, but still plenty of mana left for the Lindaway player to potentially try to pull something out. Although it'll be quite difficult, especially having a Nazi with a lot of stats already in there. And then what did we all see, John Smith? What did we see? I didn't see anything. You cop? Hmm?
If you're a cop, you have to tell us.
Yeah. I love when people say that. Like, no, no, they don't.
They don't even have to wear the right clothes.
Or be in a marked vehicle. You can still get pulled over. Common misconception. Then again, we're talking about America stuff. I don't know how it is outside of the country. We got a lot of EU folks in the chat.
Yeah, you you see the perfect plan here for Rune Folk. It's got the plan A, also looks like C, A, and B. All the plans here in a line for Rune Folk. Be very interesting to see how Lindaway comes out from this.
Yeah. Still has a lot that they could do. They could still activate the Maw if they so choose. Not sure what they have in hand at this point. They will activate the Maw, so we may be looking at potentially a Lantern play. Instead, they're going to opt for a Boom and going to take out one of their tokens here and probably the Enunciate, I have to imagine. No, they're going to take out the Esmeralda. All right.
Yeah, they don't want that Anansi getting anchored, so or the Magpeng Hoarder. Um, Also, how many big booms was that?
Oh, I'm sorry your family died in a fire. Let's get him 3 big booms. Boom! That would've been funny. That would've been a lot funnier if, Equinox put that as the flavor text for boom.
Oh my gosh.
"Can I get
Uh,
3 big booms?"
uh,
I don't know if
maybe in the reprints.
yeah, I don't know if it was, if that was around at the time of them thinking of the flavor text, probably not, but, they've had some other good flavor text that was kinda spicy. Why not that one? Either way, Rude Folk takes that one. Not enough in the tank for the Lindaway.
Ooh, landing on 420 ELO now. Look at that.
Exactly, 420 elo. Rude Folk's gonna have to quit the 6th round. You can't change it at this point. Oh, yeah, that's right, we have a 420 Easter coming up too this weekend, don't we?
Hmm.
Gonna have to cancel my egg hunt.
A very a very cursed day on this Sunday.
Um, was that the end of the round?
No, we have some. I would be inclined to see more Kaifu Atsadi.
Yeah, I'm
I
down for that.
know the fans of Atsadi would love to see it. And then we have McGroy boy here on this interesting Aphanis. My gosh, the discard though. There are two Tooth Fairies and two Banishing Gates in the discard for Aphanis.
We do see Itzadi in the lead though, and at 9 counters, heroism counters at this point. Do you ever like do you actually remember the names of the counters for a lot of these heroes? Because I feel like they're pretty arbitrary when you think about it.
Asadi is what? Heroism,
Yeah.
um, Araka's performance, of course. I have no idea what traits are called.
Yeah. Uh, scrap counters?
Scrap
Yeah,
counters, yeah.
yeah. Either way, no more big booms to be played for either hero. Just a lot of cards in reserve. We did get a 2-0 here for the Aphanis. Looking pretty good for them as far as resources available. We'll see if the Atsadi can pull any fancy stuff out. They do have a unique Parvati in the reserve that has a reserve effect. If you may put a card from your hand in reserve, if you do, target character gains anchored. Other than that, it has 303 stats.
Ooh, the small step.
And small step, it doesn't matter. The Faunus takes the victory. Congrats to them.
Yeah, I was
Commiser
gonna say, I thought, McGroy Boy mentioned before that they didn't have small step, but it must have just meant they didn't have it in hand for that game.
yeah.
They do play it though. We're getting pretty close to going into the final round here. Who's taking it? Is Runefolk gonna remain undefeated, or will there be someone to ruin his night?
Yeah, who knows? Commiserations to Kaifu though on the Itzade was fun. I'm into a little tiebreaker game here. The last game of round 5, Victor Mata versus Fiendturi. It's a nice little Sigismar matchup. Both have the same exact cards on expeditions at the moment, which is interesting. Uh,
Beautiful.
we'll see if we see a mechanic come out here from Victor Mata, and they do. Is exactly the same definition of a mirror matchup, and I don't think we can see a Baba Yaga coming out, unfortunately. So Venturi ruins the mirror matchup, but we are currently tied when it comes to the stuff here, and it won't stay that way because Tiny Jail is going to hit one of these cards that are three stats or less, and it will make a nice little victory for Venturi. Was a little fun setup there, seeing the mirror character matchups, but it didn't last. And we'll go on back to round 6 now, I believe, right? That was the end of round 5, I think, maybe?
Yep, yep. We just gotta wait for it to spin up.
Brovancher is gonna get the bye in the 6th round. Congrats to Brovancher, taking the final victory before anyone else. Um, Runefolk is the only undefeated player. There are 4 other 4-in-1 players at the moment. Um, So we may be looking at a scenario where we have a tie going into the end of the 6th round. Geo is going to try to take out Runefolk and make it up to BGA to decide the winner. Um, so we can see what we have. Other games are set here. Has there been anyone that we haven't watched yet? I'm not sure.
I think we have seen every player for the most part, except for we have not seen a game from Mandarin PJ, and they are currently against Kaifu. So, do we watch the Geo versus Runefolk, or do we start somewhere else?
Uh, I guess we should, since this is the last round, we should probably watch the finals match. So let's just go and do that. Geo versus Runefolk. If we have time, we'll try to get Mandarin in there. As I refresh because I got an error. And Kojo versus Finn. Kojo is going to start off strong with a nice little what you call it, uh, Arcolano milk, and we do see a off you go hit nothing. So maybe Runefolk didn't have anything to start us off here. Ooh,
Yeah, the off you go just targeted Buddha.
okay, makes
I
sense.
yeah, I'm officially gonna be the curse giver if it continues to go any further. Geo did have some very I don't want to say choice things to say last game because that makes it sound like they were bad things. Some very entertaining things to say last game, so we'll see what comes out from this one.
Indeed, they did run into a good little terrain for that Serenger after taking the advance, but it also is a prime target for that off you go that could be returned by the Hathor. Instead, they're going to opt to throw out the Mighty Jin, which will not be a good target for that off you go. And instead, we'll see a double Inkcaster play to go ahead and return 2 cards for Rune Folk and just get a double advance and give up only 1. So we'll be all even at the end of this day.
Yeah. In the end, it was a very interesting off you go. I feel Kojo is another one of the heroes that's well suited for a double advance, especially on a Buddha turn. That off you go made that not the case, and now the expedition is for the most part tied up. You could say Kojo has a little bit better of a lineup on the sub-regions, having access to mountain and water instead of just forest on companion side.
True. They'll be able to put out a good amount of stats here as well. Unfortunately for them, that milk was not on the correct side to give the Buddha a boosty boost, but they'll be able to utilize it for that Seringer or even the Mighty Gen if they so choose. And they'll go ahead and start off with the Mighty Gen.
Maybe even both if they have to.
Yeah, definitely would see. I'd have to imagine the Seringer will probably get targeted by the Off You Go or maybe even the Buddha again. But, we'll see what Folk has in the tank. Don't think they're gonna be able to utilize that acapella training, which is usually a pretty good play if you have it early on against, a Kojo or any Bravos player as a whole, because if you can take away their resources before they can get anything out of them, it's usually pretty nice, but, not the case at the current moment, but a lot of options for Rune Folk, I'd have to imagine, even with what is going on at the moment and having so many stats on the board for the Kojo.
What do we got? We got a martingale to start. Got a lot of resources coming out here. Also, I would like everyone to know that I'm leaving you all behind. Seems as though a member of FaZe Clan has added me on Discord,
Mm,
and I think they're very likely aiming to pick me up as a team member. They're currently streaming to 5,000 people. I bet this Discord account is very legit, and I'm off to the big leagues.
yeah, they're looking to pick up some stuff on Altered for sure. Even though, they're more into the phase house and streaming these days and not necessarily the big gaming things as they once were. It's probably because they're pretty sure that Kohlrabi will sell out and do some crazy stuff on stream, so
True.
but, in the meantime, we'll watch some AWOL Wednesday events as we see RuneFolk go ahead and just play both of those Incasters again, and more than likely gonna return both of them to hand again. Um, and, we just get a nice one for one, despite having a little Kojo and Buddha action. But, yeah,
This
we
is
look
basically the Spider-Man meme, but it's with with the caster, the ink casters just helping each other go back to hand.
yeah, why need anything else when you can just Inkcaster it, right? Um, Interestingly enough, we haven't seen that Seringer that was played out, day 1 come out from the reserve yet. Really afraid of that Off You Go that Rune Folk's been holding on to, and opted not to get the draw from it, but either way, Rune Folk's saying that the second time that they've got to shuffle the Incasters, well, congratulations. Um, yeah, they need to put it in Nordis. Good point, John Smith. Appreciate that. Um
No, 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 no.
No, 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 no. We do see a nice little slow play here with a martingale. Gotta imagine at some point we're gonna see that Seringer come out. We do have a common Tiny Gen in the reserve. Again, don't usually get to see the common version. That rare is quite a good card, but maybe Geo on this Kojo lineup and needs to save that rare slot for something else. I don't know. I haven't looked at the deck list. But we're gonna go ahead and start off with that Tiny Gen. Just trying to maybe get another one for one.
Yeah, Kojo's starting to get a scary amount of mana. Wonder if there's anything big hiding in the deck, or it's just more mana equals more characters equals more fun.
Um, Thoughts for the rotisserie draft? I honestly don't know. My plan is just gonna be to do like a compilation of all of the games that I've played for the rotisserie draft. I don't know what Cole's doing or if he's even recording your
Ugh.
games.
So I am relying on most of the others to record the actual gameplay. Um, I did record the last game that I did, but there's a bug on X Altered So the recording is useless because we have to run back the game. Um, Hojo main's deck does not work as well on X Altered. I hopefully in the next week, my goal is to have it out by the end of next week. Have a video defending myself, and also just explaining my weird brain around my draft, and then everyone can continue to tell me how silly I am. But then you'll at least know some things and stuff. So,
Yeah,
but I'll try to record more. With the difference in time zones, I try to be open to just playing the game. But I'm not able to jump on like voice or record as often because I do it between meetings at work. So,
makes sense.
Elio and yeah, like Blue said, and I think Freeloader are all like recording every game. So definitely look forward to what they put out.
Yeah. Not to spoil what I'm gonna do, but, I'm definitely gonna do, like, a compilation thing because if you've seen my deck list, it's gonna be more oriented around games ending as fast as possible.
Yeah, it's
So
disgusting.
it'll be more of, like, I don't know, compilation set to some, like, rave music or something, and just hit the beat drop every single time I play a certain card, you know?
Yep. I think every single game I've played so far has been very close, except for the game against Blue.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, you were ahead against me, right?
Yeah, until what, day 3?
No, I beat you day 4, not day 3.
Oh, yeah, you were very sad about the
Yeah.
day 4, not the day 3.
Yeah, I was 1 mana short. I had it day 3, and I just was 1 mana short, unfortunately. But
Yeah, I think even when I lost to Keelan Guy, and in the game that doesn't really count, I lost to Kojo Main.
mhm.
It was just by like one expedition, and we were neck and neck in both games.
No, his first pick was, Small Step Giant Leap Rare
Yeah,
in Uzma.
technically, my first pick was Small Step Giant Leap in common in Ysmir, but
Yeah,
Elio told me to change it.
yeah,
Um, because I just insta went Small Step to get it off of the table, and I forgot that there was no rare limit when I did it. So,
yeah. Speaking of big cards that you mentioned before for this Kojo, we do see a Sun of
yep.
Yggdrasil come out, but it does get hit with the fleeting, and I imagine we're gonna see a Cloth Cocoon potentially here now. That'll knock it out pretty quickly if that is the scenario, or maybe they just maybe Runefolk's just gonna give it up here. I don't know, but,
Yeah, that would be a pretty great turn for Runefolk if there's the Cloth Cocoon in hand.
yeah. Yeah, it looks like they're just gonna try to stat over them on at least the water. They could definitely catch up on forest here too. Um, but we'll have to see. We already have a pass from Kojo already, and we will see the Inkcaster come out. And that'll be enough for a one for one. We'll see if there's any other cards in hand that Runefolk wants to play. Yeah, thanks for asking about the rotisserie draft. I need to play some more games. I think Cole's probably been the most vigilant in actually getting people to play.
Yeah, me or um maybe uh
No, it's
I
pretty much you.
Vittorio.
Yeah,
I was
Victor.
gonna say I was gonna say Victor, but I couldn't remember if that was his name or I was just thinking of Victor Mata. So shout out to Victors everywhere.
Yeah.
Um
Although I
yeah.
although I do think he stood up Elio today.
It seems like it from the chat, so
Yeah. I think he stood him up, but, yeah, hopefully we can get some more games in at some point. I definitely have the time, I blink and I forget to remind everyone that I have the time, and I end up doing something else. Darn having a life, right? Crazy.
I wanted to stream one of the games, but then I realized the person that it would probably be easiest to get on stream to do it was Elon Guy, and
Mhm.
I already completed that game first, so
Mm. We do have a unique snowman that got played here. If your reserve is empty, go ahead and resupply, which was the scenario here. Otherwise, it's the usual snowman with some different stats. Fun little card from the Kojo player. In the meantime, we do see Runefolk doing Finn things and just slow playing to death, even though the Kojo has a lot more mana. More than likely gonna see an acapella training come out here pretty soon, I'd have to imagine as well. Although they may just see the announcy to get some more boost too. I don't know. Could be anything.
There's so many options for Fen right now,
Yeah.
especially with 5 mana. What do we have in? We have two Ink casters in discard. Do see the Anansi come out. Could see another Hathor. Hathor might be good to come out here soon, or save it for a forest lineup. Just so many options.
Yeah, it'd be cool to play into another rotisserie draft. I just like the different varieties of things you can play as a whole. Is anyone hasn't checked it out already? Made a video about Booster Wars. Go ahead and check that out. That's one thing I do want to do with Booster Wars is I want to do like um, a Trial by Frost versus a Beyond the Gates Booster War. Or another good one that I want to do is have like a little chaos format of draft when we have 4 sets as a whole and just do a pack of each. That'll be fun. But in the meantime, we're gonna go ahead and get a Parvati that's gonna anchor itself. It's, not a bad spot to put it, but not necessarily a good spot because it has no mountain terrain.
Yeah, I was thinking it's good that it anchored itself because right now it has the forest to get an advance on the hero side. If it gets that advance, then it will have the water for the next turn. This game is definitely causing a lot of thinking from both players.
I'm just realizing something. Does Kojo have a wallet chain? Oh, it's
Uh,
just the belt. It's just the belt. Okay.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
it's a belt.
like, I was looking at it from the BGA perspective, and it looked like a little wallet chain,
Yeah.
coming out, so that would've been an artistic choice. I was like, "I didn't know they had it in Asgartha. Make sure you have your wallets." But yeah, John Smith, chaos drafts are a blast, so hopefully be able to do that. That'll be fun for, like, a local thing and probably it's hard to record videos when it pertains to, like, drafts. It's better as, like, a recap type of thing, which I think I would probably do instead as far as show the whole, video of the draft, but, we'll have to see how that turns out. We're still quite a bit a ways from the 4th set at the moment, but not too far away. Only till the end of the year, potentially. Will be cool to see if we do get some new heroes. They haven't confirmed it yet, but they better.
Yeah. I think, based on the wording and how it gets telephoned, people are expecting new heroes in set 4, but it's definitely not been confirmed, that there are absolutely heroes coming in
Yeah,
set 4, so
yeah. Yeah, John Smith. I mean, that's what you listed, so I'm gonna call you by your name. If, other people don't like it, they can fight me. But we do see a double advance here from Runefolk on the Finn, all but guaranteeing the victory here for the AWOL Wednesday Weekly number 11, season 2, and we'll have to see who can follow up and get that 2nd place. As we go back here and take a look to see if there are some other games to wrap up this event with. Um, do.
yep. Very, well done on Fen by Runefolk. Congrats on the undefeated win. If you are watching this back on YouTube, or if you are watching it now and asking yourself, what the hell is a rotisserie draft? Why are we talking about chicken? Elio, one of the glorious altered content creators, brought together a ragtag group of us to participate in a snake draft of all altered cards currently out there. And Blue, Elio, and Kojo Main currently have videos out. Has Vittorio put out a video yet?
I haven't seen it if he has, but I'm sure he will at some point. He does a lot of gameplay focused stuff, so I don't know if he's going to do like an analysis thing. He may do it for his actual games. Maybe that's why he's being vigilant, wants to get them all knocked out. But
I believe so from what he was saying. I can't go anywhere tomorrow night, so maybe tomorrow night I can find someone to do a game and get another one
yeah,
finished. Finito.
yeah. I did pull up another game here, table two. Sigismar ends up taking the victory over the Akesha, unfortunately. Um, and I believe there's only one game left, and it may have also finished. So let's go ahead and take a look here to see if that is the scenario. Nope, still going. So we'll be able to get one last ending to a game, table five. Another Sigismar player will definitely be there, and it'll be versus Ateja. And already calling a GG.
Oh yeah, it looks like the companion side is just going to take it for Victor Mata here. Um, Not anything the Tasia can do unless I am blind. But no, I think yep, and they say GG. It looks like it's going to finish out here soon.
Yeah, how blind are you, by the way? How is your vision?
It's actually not that bad, but
Okay.
I have astigmatism in both my eyes. That's
Mm.
why I wear glasses.
That can be an issue. I was gonna try to do that joke where you say another word that sounds like another word, but I couldn't think of anything that sounded like astigmatism. Um,
Yeah, I have lots of isms, don't you worry.
yeah. That should be the last game, though. That was round 6 of the AWOL Season 2 Wednesday Weekly number 6. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the final results here. We can do a quick wrap up before we say goodbye to all you lovely folks that have been watching us this entire time and participating in the chat. We do appreciate it. We do have the victory going to AQZ Rune Folk, knocking things out with the Finn and Crowbar, putting up a top result for 39 cards and being one step closer to taking that victory over the fellow AQZ teammates. Fiend Turi 44 on the Sigismar in second place, Demirion third, Geo in fourth, Freeloader in fifth, Victor Mata in sixth, HG Nakamura in seventh, Originality in eighth, MLD 2489, Magro Boy 10th, Osito 11th, Psycho 12th, Mandarin 13th, Brovancher 14th, Czar Chasm 15th, and CRA Coco 2 in 16th place. Congratulations to all of you folks out there that got an invite to the invitational. Be sure you show up. We would appreciate it very much so. The more people, the better, and the more games that we get to talk about in the process. Cole, any last thoughts before we wrap things up?
Um, yeah, I mean, since we talked about it a little bit, definitely check out all of the rotisserie draft videos that have released so far. Maybe I'll put together a playlist so we can collect them, make it easier to watch. Also support all of your altered content creators. Keep the game alive and thriving through the way of spreading the algorithm. Very good day for AQZ. Runefolk was not only able to win a tournament, but also get a result on Pen. Freeloader was able to get a result on Basira. So if you are keeping track of the competition, Runefolk, Freeloader, and Keelan Guy are doing getting one result from every hero to be listed on 39 cards. Last update, I think most of them were around 6 to 7 ish left. After today, though, there might be a clear winner. We'll have to see after we tally up results. But thanks, as always, to Blue for hosting and for everyone that came out and played. Invite your friends. Wednesday's a good time. So and if not, see you tomorrow for the AQZ tournament. on Thursdays, and Spaghetti Altered is doing some things like I mentioned, and then we started it all over again next week with AWOL on Monday.
Indeed. Thank you, everyone, once again that has joined us in the chat. Have a good evening for most of you, if not morning for some of you. Make sure you get a little bit of sleep, maybe eat a little bit. Who knows? You don't want to ruin your breakfast. I don't know. Either way, I am Blue. As Cole mentioned, you can catch me on YouTube, Blue Oak TV. Do a video every Wednesday, including today, Wednesday, even though it's Thursday for some of you, where I make a video. This time around, it was about Booster Wars. It's a fun little game type that you can play in Altered for only one pack apiece versus one player. Could be your friend, could be your enemy. I don't know. But in the meantime, that is all I have for everyone. We'll have some more tournaments and games happening. The more you can support everyone, like Cole mentioned, the better things will be for the future. And I can keep doing this stuff, and Cole can keep doing things, and we can all keep on playing Altered for as long as we shall live, kind of thing. But yeah, that's about it. Have a good evening, everyone.
Good night.